Hi, my name is Emma, and Jesse, Lucas, Meta, and Yona and I are analyzing Starbucks coffee.
So Starbucks was founded in 1971 in Seattle's Pike Place Market and has grown into one of the largest coffee houses chains globally. With over 38,000 locations in 86 countries, the company is built around three main goals: creating a welcoming third place, kind of between home and work, and committing to sustainability by reducing carbon emissions, conserving water, and lowering waste, and enhancing the customer experience by integrating technology. So a little bit passive versus the present goals that the company had. So Starbucks has shifted its priorities significantly over time. In the past, the focus was on selling high quality coffee and creating kind of like an intimate, like I said, third place for the customers, kind of like a quiet and welcoming environment where quality mattered over quantity. And now the focus has shifted to efficiency using mobile ordering and faster services to increase transactional businesses and foot traffic. So this has come with a cost, fewer personal interactions, and more stress placed on employees to meet these evolving expectations.
So, for our initial research, we saw that since Starbucks is such a big company, we decided to focus on the people on the front lines, which would be the baristas. We could have delved into how to make the corporate world better, but we thought that we get a better firsthand information from the baristas themselves. Our goal entering this project was to hear about issues faced in different Starbucks locations and then evaluate how managers and upper level executives could implement the changes that the in store staff wanted to see. So to begin our evaluation, we spoke with two former employees, Zoe from the College Park location and Ana from the North Bethesda one. So our first one was with Anav, and he said that he had an overall positive experience working at Starbucks, but he also noted that he tends to be pretty optimistic in general. He worked at North Bethesda and explained that it's a quieter location than most Starbucks, and he enjoyed the busy work environment, but also noted that it was very stressful. There were high customer demands, and they didn't always have enough staff to handle the rush of customers. As you can see, he said that it was a stressful job and that he would arrive for his shifts with an anticipation that at least some portion of it would be stressful. Our next interview was with Zoe, who worked at the College Park location, which is a much busier location. And while she had good relationships with her coworkers and manager, she said that she felt very stressed while working there. They didn't have enough staff to compensate for the fact that they were one of the busier Starbucks locations, so she was frequently overwhelmed. Even though she had these good relationships with everyone, she still left after a year and a half due to low pay and high stress. We also spoke with a manager at Riverdale Park to gain insight into the managerial perspective of the issue. She mentioned that while most of the day is not too stressful, it can become overwhelming during peak hours, especially if they're short staffed. However, she mainly attributes this to the positive relationships everyone has with each other as they enjoy working together and each other's company. To motivate employees, she relies on creating strong connections with them and providing adequate coaching for new hires. Furthermore, she also encourages employees to voice their concerns and make sure to treat everyone with respect. While turnover is currently pretty low, she mentioned that under the old manager, a lot more people quit because they were not as easy to work with. So after interviewing Zoe and Inav, we decided to sit in a Starbucks for 4 hours on a Sunday to make our own observations. We noticed a few things, and all of them aligned with the information that we gathered from the interviews. Overall, there were frequently frustrated customers due to long wait times and an overworked staff, leading to bottlenecks in the preparation process. All this contributed to an overall stressful environment for the employees who honestly seemed to get more and more frustrated as their shifts went on. We also observed one shift change, and the employees that arrived seemed just as stressful as those who were already working, likely in anticipation of a stressful shift ahead of them. So to supplement our research, we looked at some secondary sources, which we would hope would get a broader view of the Starbucks environment. We looked at websites like Glassdoor and Indeed, and we found that in general, Starbucks is a pretty stressful work environment, and it generally means that, and it's generally because of the high demand and this like overly demanding workload. They often say that like it just makes them feel a lot more frustrated and they dread going to work.
So, on a very high level, this is some of the stuff that I'll be covering over in these next couple slides. That includes heavy workload, understaffed, facilities, high customer demands and expectations, and high emotional workload. And these are all related to role overload and daily hassles overall. And I'll be discussing on why this is such a problem at Starbucks as an organization. So this is just another high level overview of what I'll be discussing. And it's basically the claim that high stress in the workplace in Starbucks is due to heavy workload, understaffing, emotional toll, and daily hassles, which eventually lead to burnout. All right. The core problem here is high stress. I mean, this is just the overlying factor that affects employees quitting their job or not being a good employee or teammate to the rest of the people working there. This is organizational stress. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is high task demand. So it's a fast-paced environment and complex orders. So people are going to be ordering different things for their drink, like a certain amount of cream, certain amount of sugars. And in a fast-paced environment, especially during peak hours, this can be extremely stressful. And on top of that, kind of related, is high role demand. So there's multiple responsibilities. Workers are running around the entire room to try to get the product to the customer while also including good service as well and keeping a smile on their face. And the last thing is interpersonal demands. So customers are complaining about their wrong order. There's workplace conflict. Maybe the employees don't like each other. There's just a bunch of things that can add to the bowl of stress of working at Starbucks. And some of these consequences include lower emotional well-being, lower job satisfaction, lower job performance, and higher turnover, which are all obviously not good things for Starbucks to have. Another core problem is mood and emotion. Now, this also is also affects stress, and it's all kind of interrelated. But emotional labor is the first thing, right? So employees are expected to put on that smile when they are, working at the register or making drinks in the back to kind of uphold that brand image, and that can be very, very tiring. Another thing is when they are trying to hold it, they can't hold it all in. Their emotions that they reflect to their customers can be contagious. And so if they're having a bad day, the customers are stressed, it might cause the employees might be stressed. It might cause the customers to be in a stressful environment as well, which can overall just decrease their experience with Starbucks. And some of these consequences include strain, lower job satisfaction and performance, and organizational commitment to Starbucks. Now, what are the overall impacts of these problems? Well, the first is motivation, as we already discussed before. High stress will lead to burnout, reducing motivation levels amongst any worker, regardless of their position within Starbucks. It can affect job loyalties, right? So how loyal are they? How badly do they want to keep working for this company based on how they're treated and their overall experience? The second to last thing is satisfaction. Job satisfaction would decrease as stress levels rise. So if we're so stressful working in that environment, our satisfaction of the overall job is going to decrease, which will impact overall morale. The last thing is turnover, right? So increased stress. If you're in a stressful environment, the employees want to get out of there. So at Starbucks, the stressful environment may increase the turnover rates. So employees will seek less stressful work environments to find somewhere that they're more comfortable working at. And so these are some of the problems that come with working here at Starbucks.
After analyzing the problem and coming up with why we thought it existed, we came up with 4 recommendations that we think could be implemented both at the store level and corporate level to help really enhance the Starbucks experience for employees and baristas who are the faces of Starbucks on a day-to-day basis. Those 4 ideas we came up with are increasing internal promotions, expanding mental health support, team building through morale exercises, and more frequent feedback. Internal promotions are something we think could be really effective because they provide an additional source of motivation for baristas and store employees because it increases upward mobility and it shows that they might have a future at the company if they work hard and continue really fulfilling the potential they can as store employees. It really shows that if you work hard, you can succeed and provides more extrinsic motivation and sets more specific and difficult goals that will hopefully increase performance level. As we know, specific and difficult goals tend to be very effective at doing that. We also think that if management is really emphasizes this practice and follows through with it, employees will see it as something that really is achievable because they'll see that it's happened in the past and have other people they can point to who have succeeded and achieved their goals through that. We also think that overall this would increase organizational commitment and help lower their turnover rate because baristas will stay with the company long term instead of getting tired after a year or 2 years and then deciding to quit. Long term, we also think this will be really effective because it'll create an upper management team of Starbucks who have worked in stores and really understand what it's like to work in those stores. And they'll be able to be empathetic to the experience of baristas and managers and really understand what they need, not just from a corporate lens, but from a day-to-day lens to really make Starbucks the best it can be. Obviously, this will take a little while to be implemented, and the effects will really be visible long term, but we think by at least making it public that they're trying to implement this practice now, we think it could be really effective, at least somewhat in the next few years. The next recommendation we came up with was to expand mental health support. Starbucks is a great company because they already do provide a lot of resources for their employees. Like they provide free mind space for therapy, and that's something that through our research and through speaking to the employees we interviewed, it was something they really valued. So we think that if we expand that further, it could be really effective in helping help the employees feel a little bit more relaxed in a really high stress job. Because we think emphasizing a work-life balance to employees really explicitly when they come on, when they first join Starbucks, and like throughout their time at Starbucks can help alleviate some stressors because they'll understand that while Starbucks is a really high intensity, fast-paced environment, it's also a place that really does prioritize their well-being because you can't be a strong employee if you're lacking strong mental health. And really acknowledging that stress does impact your overall health. I think could really help employees feel like Starbucks cares about them and also help lower their turnover rate because they're making sure their employees stay healthy and they don't burn out as quickly because Starbucks is providing them more mental health resources. This comes in terms of more accessible resources like other things similar to Mindspace, like the Calm app or other meditation resources, mental health professionals coming in and being available for employees, whether that be coaches, people who can teach meditation, people who can serve in more of a therapy role, support dogs, anything that we think could help them achieve a bit more of a relaxed state in such a high stress environment. This also can be implemented immediately. You can have more mental health support on the ground pretty early on. But obviously the effects will be visible a little bit more long term. We think in the 6 months to a year range. But we think that acknowledging stress and acknowledging that this is a stressful environment and not trying to hide that from employees or make them try to just bear the burden of it without validating that is detrimental, and that if they're willing to acknowledge that it is stressful, that it might really benefit their team.
Recommendation number 3, team building through morale. Employees we interviewed said the reason they enjoyed work was their coworkers. We can capitalize on this to create higher effective commitment due to emotional attachment to employees, specifically by employee retreats, happy hours, barista appreciation week, and free lunch and dinner. For the workshops and retreats, employees can work on themselves as individuals in a relaxed setting. It's important to grow as an individual and allow that to go into your work. When a company shows they are invested in their employees' growth, these workshops can be very impactful for the individual to not only grow as a person, but for the company to show that they care about their employees' well-being and success. All the social events like the happy hour and the lunch and dinner will all allow for the team to build stronger relationships in which it will foster a positive environment and work culture. Employees will feel a sense of belonging and having a work family to go to, so they are excited to see the people they come in and work with rather than feeling like they don't want to or don't want to talk to anyone. For Barista Appreciation Week, celebrating employees' hard work helps employees feel seen and respected. This is shown to have a strong impact on job satisfaction. It gives employees a reason to keep trying hard rather than working hard and feeling invisible. If people feel recognized, they are more likely to be motivated and not burned out. Also, it motivates them to do better and continue to want to grow as a professional. Next, we have recommendation number 4, which is frequent feedback. Here, we would have meetings for employees to bring up their questions, concerns, and any ideas they have in an open and safe environment. It allows these employees to feel heard and valued, and also it can reduce or even eliminate the disconnect between barista and managers of stores. For the managers, we will incorporate management training modules so they know what to do and how important it is to be open to feedback. This will be implemented immediately, but the effects will be visible in the longer term. In conclusion, as we said, baristas at Starbucks face intense stress. After talking to our primary resources and doing some research, we found that this is from heavy workloads, understaffing, and an emotional toll that comes with working there, which can lead to burnout. Implementing the recommendations that we offered, like internal promotions, expanding mental health support, Team building exercises through morale and frequent feedback will help foster a supportive, engaged, and balanced work environment that will improve job satisfaction and morale.